In the last lecture, I introduced alternating currents. Alternating currents, as shown here, are those which vary in a sinusoidal fashion. For the first half, the electrons in a circuit move in one direction. For the next half, because there is a reversal of current or voltage, they move in the opposite direction. If that is so, how does the current actually flow? I showed you with an example how, if I take a wire, how in one half cycle the electrons flow in this direction to the bulb, let us say, and in the next half cycle they move in this direction to the bulb. That is, throughout both the cycles, the bulb receives current and therefore glows. So, we also saw that we cannot deal with averages, because the average of a sinusoidal function is 0. So, therefore, we have to deal with the square of these functions, and we shall square them, take the average and then take the square root. That means, we deal with RMS values, root, mean, square values, right. So, with this introduction, let me go straight to the circuit. We have a current I m sin omega t, sinusoidal. We have voltage, which is V m sin omega t plus phi. Phi has been introduced so that it can deal with any phase difference between these two, and m means the peak value, the amplitude. So, I m is the amplitude of I, V m is the amplitude of V. So, we have current denoted by I m sin omega t, voltage V given by V m sin omega t plus phi. So, in a circuit we have that, and what is the RMS value of I? RMS I squared will be I m squared sin squared omega t, and the average value of sin squared is half. Therefore, the RMS value of I would be I m by root of 2, and the RMS value of V would be V m by root of 2. So, if the currents are given by these, then their RMS values are given by these. Now, we see that I m is the amplitude of the current and V m is the amplitude of the voltage. Because of sinusoidal nature of currents and voltage, let us find phase relations between the two for a resistor and an inductor and a capacitor. So, we shall have these elements, either 2 of them or 3 of them, and we shall find out how does the voltage and the current, they differ in phase. So, let us take the resistor first. If R is the resistance, then the voltage across the resistor is R I, or R times I m sin omega t, because I is I m sin omega t. This means that V r is also R times I. So, it is V m sin omega t, where V m now is R times I m, V m is R times I m, and since this is sin omega t, this is also sin omega t, they are in phase. So, the voltage across a resistor is in phase with the current. This is the current and this is the voltage. You can see the amplitude may be different, but the phases are the same. So, through a resistor, across a resistor, the voltage has the same phase as the current. Let us take an inductor. For inductor, we saw in the last lecture, V L is minus L d I by dt, that is minus L d by dt of I m sin omega t, and therefore, I differentiate this, and V L is minus omega L times I m cos omega t, which we can write as V L equal to X L. Remember, L omega is the reactance X L. So, it is X L I m sin omega t plus pi by 2. This minus omega L I m cos omega t I can write in this fashion, which is this X L I m I can write as V m. So, V m sin omega t plus pi by 2, that is V m is equal to X L times I m. So, the amplitude of this is V m which is XL times Im, the amplitude of the current is Im, and they are out of phase by pi by 2. That means, this voltage through an inductor leads the current by pi by 2, because it reaches the maximum value quarter of a cycle earlier than the current. Therefore, it leads the current by pi by 2. Remember that. What about the capacitor? The voltage across the capacitor is Q by C, which is 1 by C times integral of I dt. I substitute the value of I and integrate, and we get V c equal to I m by x times c, c omega is x c. So, sin omega t minus pi by 2. That means, which I m by x c we can write as V m sin omega t minus pi by 2. So, in this case the amplitude of the voltage through the capacitor is I m by x c, and this lags behind the current by quarter of a cycle by pi by 2. You can see this reaches 0 or this reaches maximum pi by 2 times later than the current. So, that is this voltage through the capacitor lags behind the current by pi by 2. So, there is a phase difference of pi by 2. It must be noted that V c lags behind I by pi by 2. Now, I will show you all the 4 together. This is the current, this is the voltage through the resistor, this is the voltage through the inductor, this is the voltage through the capacitor. You can see they are in phase. This one leads this by pi by 2 and this one lags behind this by pi by 2. So, the voltage through the inductor leads by pi by 2 the voltage across the resistor, and lags the voltage across the capacitor lags behind the current by pi by 2. So, let us take a circuit in which we have both resistor and inductor having values R and L. Voltage supplied by the source is equal to the voltage across this plus the voltage across this, that is V s is equal to V r plus V L. V r is I r, V L is I x l, where x l is the reactance of the inductor, and they differ in phase. V r and V L, you remember V L leads V r by pi by 2. So, how do we add them? So, there is a problem. We have two quantities V r and V L which differ in phase. So, how do we add them? To make it possible to add them, we introduce quantities called phasors, which make this task easy of adding two quantities which are in different phase. Phasors are rotating vectors which represent sinusoidal quantities. If you remember from your class 11, the simple harmonic motion is represented by a particle on a circle. The amplitude of the circle is equal to the amplitude of the simple harmonic motion. Similarly, we introduce phasors in the same way. A phasor also behaves like that, and phasors act like vectors, because you can say that they have magnitude and they have phases instead of directions. So, they are not ordinary vectors, but they behave like vectors. Just like that, let me remind you, if you have two simple harmonic motions, then say perpendicular to each other, then when you add them, their amplitudes add like vectors. So, similarly, we will have things here. So, let me give you an example of a phasor. This is a sinusoidal quantity, something current or voltage or whatever, and this is a circle, reference circle. The radius of this circle is equal to the amplitude of this, and this vector moves anticlockwise. This is a convention, this moves anticlockwise, and I have shown 3 of these vectors at various phases. This is at phase omega t 1, this one is at phase omega t 2, and this one is at a later phase. So, this red arrow is a phasor. This phasor moves along a circle in the anticlockwise direction, and the radius of the circle is equal to the amplitude of the sinusoidal quantity that it represents. Now, I have two phasors for you. We have two sinusoidal quantities represented by blue and red curves, and this red curve is lagging behind the blue curve. Therefore, red curve lags behind the blue curve, and the two circles have the radii equal to the amplitude of this and the amplitude of this. So, this is an example of two phasors. We have two sinusoidal quantities represented by blue and red curves, and these are two circles. Their radii are equal to the amplitudes of these quantities, and the radii move in the anticlockwise direction, and theta is the phase difference. You can see the blue one leads the red by certain phase, say theta. So, blue one leads the red by a certain phase theta. So, they will both move along the circle with the phase difference theta between them. Again, phasors of two sinusoidal quantities. Now, this magenta is ahead of the blue. So, magenta is ahead of the blue by certain phase theta, and again the radii are equal to the amplitudes of these, and they move along a circle in the anticlockwise direction with the same frequency as the frequency of these sinusoidal quantities. As stated above, the phasors are added like vectors. You will recall that when two or more simple harmonic motions are added, their amplitudes add like vectors. So, for this one, red and blue, the phasors are like this. The red is like this and blue is ahead of it by a certain phase, and we can find the resultant. Here the magenta is ahead of the blue by a certain phase angle, and therefore, we represent blue like this and the magenta at an angle theta, and again we can add them vectorially and find the amplitude, which is the result of these two. So, let us now return to the adding of two vectors or two voltages which differ in phase, which have a phase difference. So, I have shown here VR. Remember that VR is in the same phase as the current, and VL leads it by pi by 2. So, we have shown these two. Now, we can add them, we can add the two, because we have defined phasors and we can use them and we can add the two. You can see we can add these two. This is VL, this is VR. There is a phase difference of pi by 2, because VL leads VR by pi by 2. So, they are perpendicular to each other, and this Vs is the resultant of VR and VL, and since they have been treated like vectors, these phasors can give us the resultant of these two. So, from this geometry we can write Vs is equal to VR squared plus VL squared square root of that quantity, and I can VR is IR squared, VL is IL omega squared. I can take I out and we can write this as I times the square root of R square plus XL square. XL, remember, is L omega. So, you can see Vs is ahead of VR by an angle theta, and tan theta is given by this XL divided by R. This is VL, which is I times XL, and this is I times R. So, therefore, tan theta is XL by R. The ratio Vs by I must have the dimensions of resistance. This in the AC, this is called the impedance of the circuit. So, the impedance of the circuit is square root of R square plus XL square. We can do the same thing with the RC circuit, the same steps, and you can get Vs is equal to I times R squared plus Xc square. Xc is 1 by C omega, the reactance of the capacitor, and here are the voltages VR, this blue line, and Vc lags behind VR VR is in the same phase as current, and VC lags behind it by pi by 2. So, this green line is behind this blue line by pi by 2, and Z is again equal to r squared plus xc squared, and tan theta, you see. Now, when I add, I have VR like this and VC, because it is behind VR. So, I have it downwards, and this angle is pi by 2, and this is the resultant at an angle theta to VR, and Vs therefore also lags behind VR by angle theta, and tan theta is xc by r. So, if we have two elements, then the impedance of the circuit is in this case r squared plus xc squared. In the earlier case, it was r squared plus xl squared under root. Now, LC series circuit, LC, if we have L and C, again the same thing, the same process. And if we have a circuit containing an inductor and a capacitor, then you remember that the voltage across the capacitor is lagging behind the current, and the voltage across the resistor is ahead of the current by pi by 2. So, the phase difference between the voltage across the inductor and the one across the capacitor is pi by 2 plus pi by 2, that is pi, that is they are in the opposite directions, and therefore, the resultant is simply the difference of these two. If VL is larger in magnitude, then Vs is simply VL minus Vc, which has this magnitude, and if Vc is larger, then it would be the other way around, it will be Vc minus VL. If VL is larger, then the resultant voltage leads the current by pi by 2. If Vc is larger, then the resultant voltage would lag behind the current by pi by 2. So, in the present case, Vs is VL minus Vc, because VL is larger, therefore, it is VL minus Vc. It leads the current by pi by 2. The impedance is XL minus Xc, which is non-resistive and purely reactive. You see, this is I times Xc, this is I times XL, therefore, the impedance is XL minus Xc. The interesting case is when both are equal, Xc is equal to XL. If I put them equal, then we get omega equal to 1 by LC. When this happens, you will see that the current shoots up, because the impedance is 0, therefore, the current shoots up. However, we will see that there is no circuit in which resistance is actually 0. It is there always, small, maybe it is small. This is called the case of resonance, that is, when omega is equal to 1 by square root of 1 by LC, at this frequency there is resonance. Both Xc and XL are equal, and therefore, the difference, that is the impedance, is 0, and therefore, the current shoots up. Now, the most important case is where R, L and C, all three elements are in series. The treatment is just like the same, there is no difference. I have shown here, just to remind you, that VR is in the same phase as the current. This Vc, this green line, lags behind VR by pi by 2, and VL, the voltage across the inductor, leads VR by pi by 2. If you remember this, then we have the phasors here. We have VR and we have Vc and we have VL. In this case, VL is larger than Vc. Therefore, the resulting voltage is VL minus Vc, which leads the current by pi by 2, and I can find Vs, which is the now the resultant of VL minus Vc and VR. So, that is Vs is equal to VR squared plus VL minus Vc squared under root, and I can take I out. So, it is R squared plus XL minus Xc squared and the whole thing under root. The impedance is Vs by I. So, it is R squared plus square of XL minus XC square, and if I take the root of that, I will get the impedance, and tan theta, the phase by which Vs leads the current, that is equal to VL minus Vc divided by Vr, and cos theta, which is a more important quantity we shall see later, is called power factor, is Vr by Vs. It is R by Z. Z is the impedance, so it is R by Z. If VL is less than Vc, then you have this situation. Then this quantity is VL, is Vc minus VL, and the rest, the voltage now, the resulting voltage now lags behind the current by an angle theta, and tan theta of course is the same, VL minus Vc or Vc minus VL by Vs, and tan theta is XL minus XC by R. You see, I have now we have this situation we can represent by what is known as an impedance triangle. We have resistance and we have XL minus XC, the reactance XL minus the reactance XC, and then we have the impedance Z. Z is the hypotenuse of this triangle, and therefore, Z would be equal to the square root of R squared plus XL minus XC square, and angle theta is the phase difference between the resultant voltage and the current, and that is given by the tan theta is given by XL minus XC by R. You can make impedance triangles for other cases also. Now, a case of particular interest is when L omega is equal to 1 by C omega, XL is equal to XC. When XL is equal to XC, then you will see this term vanishes and the impedance consists only of R, and the impedance becomes very small. This term vanishes, the impedance becomes very small, and therefore, the current shoots up. So, this I have shown here the current, and here is the frequency of the AC, and this point is where the frequency is equal to 1 by root of LC. So, there is a resonance at this frequency, as we saw in the case of LC circuits. I told you at that time that there cannot be pure LC circuit, resistance had to be there. So, in this case we have the resistance, and therefore, the resonance happens at the frequency equal to 1 by root of LC. So, at that frequency the current shoots up. You can see the current is at its maximum when omega is equal to this 1 by root of LC. This is called resonance in RLC circuits, and we shall talk about this resonance in the next lecture also, but you can see that I have drawn this for 3 resistances, and as the resistance increases, this resonance becomes, the effect becomes very small. The effect is maximum when the resistance is small. As it increases, the effect becomes small. The resonance is flatter for R3. We shall deal with this kind of resonance in the next lecture also, but for the moment you remember that what is happening is that when XL becomes equal to XC, that is omega becomes square root of 1 by LC, then this term vanishes, the impedance is simply equal to R, and the current is simply I times R, right, and since R is a small quantity, therefore, Vs by R shoots up, the current shoots up as here, and the same thing happens, the reverse or the opposite thing happens to the impedance. You see, as we approach XL equal to XC, you can see that Z is decreasing, and the minimum value of Z is simply R. So, this graph shows this, the impedance is decreasing as we approach the resonance frequency. At the resonance frequency itself, Z is minimum, therefore, the current is maximum, and as we go on this side of the frequency, resonance frequency, or this side of the resonance frequency, it does not matter, the impedance is always higher than at exactly at the resonance frequency. So, as the current shoots up, the impedance obviously goes down, or the other way around, as impedance goes down, the current shoots up. This happens at resonance when the frequency is equal to square root of 1 by L C. So, we will continue with this resonance in the next lecture, and we shall also see how this resonance is used in practice.